Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit holybatcast.com. It is your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast. But don't worry, you can find us all over the internet on all the websites that you already go to. On Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, and you will find us. And if you love the show, you want to help support the show, you can also do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And so, I've got to thank another new patron, Mr. I want to say it's Eddie Bolton. Yes, Mr. Eddie Bolton. His Uncle Michael. Don't judge Eddie by his Uncle Michael. Eddie is the man. Thank you, Eddie. We do appreciate it. It means a lot to us that you've become part of our Bat family. So big, big thank you to you. And as always, a big, huge thank you to all our patrons. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. So if you are looking for other shows to check out, you can check those out at rf4rm.com. As always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova. If you'd like to follow me, you can do that on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, this episode, we are going back to the 70s. We're making good on a promise that we made about a year and a half ago, and we are doing the second part of the Legends of the Superheroes TV specials from 1979. November of 2018, we did The Challenge, and now we're finally looping back and we are doing The Roast. Joining me for all that and more is my Bat brother, but today he's Retired Man or the Scarlet Cyclone, whatever you prefer. It's Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
I can't be Solomon Grundy?
Okay, you can.
Right.
He's our Solomon Grundy, but he's also retired. He's retired Solomon Grundy man. Jamie Drewley.
That's busy. That's very busy.
I know, it's a lot.
But, I'll take it. Yeah, it works.
You can be Solomon Grundy. It's fine. It's all good. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, good. Also joining us, we have a special guest on this episode. So I mentioned our patrons on Patreon, and this gentleman is one of our patrons. I think I gave him a shout out last episode, so we got him on an episode quick, which I'm very excited about. That never happens. Thank you, Quarantine. He goes by Terrafor on social media, and that's why I was like, I don't know who that is, but he sounds like the emperor of a faraway planet. I found out his real name. It's Ryan Ross. So on this episode, Ryan Ross, what the hell? He's going to be our Batman. Hey, Ryan.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Or can I still just call you Terrafor?
If you want, that's fine.
What is that?
That was a name I came up for a D&D character a few years back.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we're happy to have you, Ryan. Before we get started on the roast, though, first of all, thank you for being a patron. Thank you for being part of our family.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely get to say it in person, or at least live. So thank you for that. But because it's your first time on the show, as is tradition, you've got to tell us a little bit about your Batman fandom and what's your favorite Batman movie and why.
My favorite Batman movie is The Dark Knight.
I like him.
All right, you could stay. Great.
All right, cool. It's the best comic book movie I've ever seen. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a comic book movie. It's just a great movie. It's a great crime film. It just happens to have Batman in it, and that makes it all the better.
Very nice. Well, I got to tell you, we recently resurrected the Real Fans for Real Movies podcast, and we just did an episode that was 5 perfect films, and that film may or may not have come up.
Okay.
So
I will definitely be listening soon.
Yeah. So for anyone out there who's interested, you want to check out the original Real Fans podcast feed. Maybe that movie comes up.
Maybe more than once.
But good choice, Ryan. And again, we are excited to have you. So welcome to Holy BatCast.
Thank you.
But I'm impressed that you jumped on this one because it's a random one, but that's all right. I like random.
It is very random.
But that's okay. That's the beauty of DC Universe is the random. Because all like the main movies, I already have those. I like DC Universe for the random. And I guess it's worth mentioning now before we get into the roast. Ryan, did you watch this on DC Universe?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So I don't know if you guys have signed up yet or have noticed, but DC Universe started a couple weeks ago a rewards program.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so you kind of just automatically sign up, but you have to do it through the app. It doesn't do it automatically for you. You just have to go in and like click sign up and agree. But then you just start getting what they call tokens for reading comics and for watching stuff on the app. And the more tokens you get, then you can like trade it in for prizes and merchandise and stuff. So I did that immediately, and it's kind of nice. Like, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It's just basically giving you credit for what you're doing on the app. I'm sure that they gain something out of it as they sort of get, number one, it's a motivator for people to use the app more. And number two, I think it gives them probably some sort of research as far as, where people's interests lie or whatever. But have you guys signed up yet?
Yes.
I did.
You both did?
I did.
Okay,
Because
good.
it's long been a dream of mine for somebody to pay me to watch movies and television shows and read comic books. And DC Universe heard my plea, and they have graciously offered this. So you guys are all welcome. This was my idea.
Oh, well, thank you. It's great. It's
Real
so
money
good.
instead of, DC Bitcoin would be better, I guess. But, it's baby steps.
Take
Beggars
what you
can't be
can get.
choosers.
Yeah, take what you
Right.
I
As
will
far
say,
as I'm concerned, DC Universe was its own reward anyway. So, this is just gravy on the top of, delicious potatoes as is.
well, right? I didn't need the rewards. I was already using it. But I can tell you, already, because of the rewards, I find myself reading more comics on there just because I'm like, well, what the hell? I got a few minutes. Might as well read a comic, get a few points, or tokens, excuse me. But I'll say last night we watched Legends of the Superheroes, The Roast. And, I told Catherine about this, and she goes, oh, how many points did we get? And I'm like, oh, I think we only got like 10 tokens for watching that. And she's like, we should have gotten way more than 10 tokens for watching that. And I agree. I enjoyed it, but I do feel like the more random the content you enjoy, I think should be worth more. But, we'll see how it goes. But I thought it was a really nice thing that they did. I think it was super cool. And yeah, what I love is that if you do it on like your iPad, they actually rank you by your tokens of everyone using the app.
Goodness. I didn't realize this was going to be a competition.
And exactly, like I can't help
Everything.
myself, but I'm like I want to get up high. So right now I'm like number like 8,000 out of 30,000 or something, which isn't bad. Like top third isn't bad. But yeah, now I'm like motivated to like get even higher.
You got me curious enough where I want to go look. So
Yeah, if you go to your tablet and you go to rewards, like the dashboard, you like scroll up and it'll give you your ranking out of everyone. It's a fun thing. It's a nice bonus. I don't really know what I'm saving up for yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
yeah, I don't have hardly anything on here. So goodness.
All right, well, let's get into the show itself, okay? So without further ado, it is time for us to take a trip back to 1979 and check out Legends of the Superheroes, The Roast.
For centuries, the world has been protected by a group of extraordinary men and women who have dedicated themselves to fighting crime in the pursuit of justice. Legends of the Superheroes. On this special occasion, our dauntless heroes have been summoned for an evening of special tribute. So if there is any call for their super services tonight, forget it. Ladies and gentlemen, the world's mightiest mortal.
Shazam!
Endowed with the wisdom, strength, and courage of the gods, Captain Marvel fights a never-ending battle against evil. Guardian of the universe and possessor of an incredible power ring, the Green Lantern has the ability to perform amazing feats against evildoers. Sentinel of the skies, winged phantom of the night, the Hawkman fights the evils of the present with the weapons of the past. Combining beauty, wisdom, and physical prowess, the Huntress fights a constant battle against crime and injustice. Joy of the oppressed, wonder of the multitudes, the Flash. This crime fighter is swifter than the speed of light, fleeter than the rapidity of thought. With the uncanny ability to generate earth-shattering sound waves, the Black Canary fights a relentless battle against criminal injustice. With his reckless grin, devil-may-care courage, and incredible gymnastic skills, Robin, the Boy Wonder, is Batman's crime-fighting companion. His symbol a frightening creature of the night, his disguise strikes terror into the criminal heart. Batman, the Caped Crusader, has pledged his life to fighting the forces of evil. Ladies and gentlemen, the superheroes.
All right, so the roast, like I said, it's the second part. So we did do the first part, which was the challenge. We, again, reviewed that in November of 2018, so you can go back and check that episode out. And when we finished that episode, we're like, oh, we got to do the second part. And then we got distracted and forgot. And so we were like, hey, what are we going to do for the episode this week? And I was like, hey, Jamie, you know what we never got around to? Is the second part of Legends of the Superheroes. And I think what you said, Jamie, was good. I could use a good laugh.
Believe it or not, I actually got one or two out of it. So.
That's good. That's good. So that's why we're finally looping back around on this. So these, again, both aired on NBC in January of 1979. The first one aired on January 18th, and then this one aired 1 week later on January 25th of 1979. Just like the first half. Yeah, because these were produced together. This one was produced by Hanna-Barbera, which is very crazy, but kind of cool. And it brings back Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin, but they are joined by a bunch of other DC characters, including The Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, Huntress, Black Canary, Shazam / Captain Marvel. Is that everybody? Did I say? Okay. Green Lantern, Hawkman, Flash, Black Canary, Huntress, Captain Marvel. Yes, and then Batman.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, 8. Okay. So, but spoilers, special appearance by the Atom. So we actually get 9. So Adam West and Burt Ward are back as Batman and Robin, and then the rest of the characters are played by people I've never heard of. But I do remember from when we talked about the first one, Jamie's favorite was Hawkman.
Jamie's favorite was who?
Hawkman.
Yeah.
I just remember you saying his arms were bigger than your thighs.
He is a large, well put together human being.
He could have also played Bane.
Yeah, pretty much. Lovely singing voice too.
So they're back, and they've got some villains and some special guests along the way. Because this one is a roast, it has a host for the roast, and that is the one and only Ed McMahon, most famously as the sidekick for Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, but he also did like a bunch of TV appearances and whatnot over the years. And so, yeah, he is our roast master here.
I was actually really surprised to see that they got him for this.
Yeah.
Not that Ed would have been like ultra high demand where he couldn't have made time to do it or anything, but like I was just surprised that it wasn't some unknown person.
Right. Well, yeah, because he was still pretty famous, like The Tonight Show was a mainstay. So, I guess if they couldn't afford Johnny Carson, they could afford Ed McMahon.
Fair enough.
Maybe Ed McMahon is a big fan of DC superheroes, and so he did it for free or for scale.
Possibly.
Anyway, and then we also get some other special guests along the way, which we will talk about as well. But before we get into all that, I just want to get our overall thoughts and opinions on this roast of the superheroes. So, Jamie, we watched the challenge. Now we've watched the roast. What'd you think?
My first inclination as I started watching this morning when I got up and sat down in my basement and turned on the TV was, what the hell have I gotten myself into here? But not in the bad way, because it's kind of a roller coastery thing for me, because it has some really good highs, it has some really low lows. There wasn't a tremendous amount of in between.
I did give you the choice, to be fair. I said, here are a few options.
I know you did.
Okay.
And I'm not sad that I watched this, but I mean, spoilers, this isn't going to go into my regular rotation of watching or anything, but I am glad I finally did watch this, because roasts to me are fun. I think this probably could have been done better, but I mean, we're talking about the era where superhero stuff was never taken seriously in any way, shape, or form. So I guess given the time capsule that it is in that respect, it's enjoyable enough. I mean, I'd say anybody should watch it once, but just don't expect it to become an overnight classic. Let's put it this way. There's a reason I'd never heard of this thing before Andy told me about it. So
yeah. Okay, I think that makes sense. Ryan, what about you? Had you even heard of this before I gave you this random assignment?
Well, I did listen to your episode on the previous part, so I knew that this existed. I just never bothered to watch it. Yeah, when you asked if I was okay with watching it, I didn't know if I would even have anything worthwhile to say about it. But it like Jamie, I feel like it does have some ups and downs, some highs and lows. But overall, it was interesting. I feel like the concept of it was maybe a good idea. I don't know if in execution they pulled it off. It just felt like kind of like an SNL skit that was made too long.
An hour-long SNL skit?
Yeah, exactly. So, that's my initial impression of it.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, I knew what I was getting into. I'm pretty sure I know I've watched it before. I know I have, because there were certain things that happened that I went, oh yeah, I remember that. So I know I had watched it before, probably like with the other one. I did buy these on DVD when Warner Archives released them in 2010. So I watched them at that point. And you just have to go in understanding that this is very much like a time capsule of 1970s entertainment, 1970s variety show and their attempt to use that format and do it with superheroes. I agree with you guys though. I think that the idea of it is really fun, but I think that in the execution, it doesn't all work. I think it gets very scattered as you go through and they start breaking the format and you're like, wait, if you're going to do a roast, just do a roast. But it started breaking off into other random skits where you're like, I don't know if I need this. I'm okay with just watching a roast. But it's still fun for what it is. Again, a 1979 variety show roast starring DC Comics characters. Who would have ever thought that this would be a thing? But, someone thought... someone had a great idea, or they thought they had a great idea of hey, this could really be something. And so we get these two really weird TV specials from 1979. So it's a good time for what it is, especially if you appreciate the camp of the 70s. You've got to appreciate campy 70s entertainment. But it's all right. It's a fun, weird footnote in the world of live action DC superheroes. And as long as you are okay with that, I think you'll have a good enough time with it. Much like the first one. Jamie, you remember in the first one, we said these are fun if you've got some buddies over who appreciate DC and you can turn it on and laugh at it and have a good time with it that way.
Right. You can't take it seriously. I mean, the roast is a dead giveaway. You shouldn't be taking it seriously anyway. But I mean, you can't go in with that stodgy attitude about the characters and what they're doing and everything else. It's just not going to pan out for you in that respect,
Right, exactly. Know what it is, have fun with it, and it's definitely worth watching. If you've got DC Universe, it's right there and available. Get some watching tokens for it so you can save up for whatever you want. But if you don't have DC Universe, like I said, it is on DVD, and I'm sure if you are, internet savvy, I'm sure you can find a way to watch it for free anyway. But it is out there. So I'm not too concerned about a spoiler warning on this thing. It's, again, 1979. So, and it's not like there are big twists and turns. There's just a lot of silliness and goofiness throughout. But yeah, let's talk freely about the roast. Any highlights? Some of your favorite parts, Jamie? You said, oh, I did get some good laughs out of it. So what was that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to think that this was as funny as I did, but frankly, my favorite thing was when Ghetto Man showed up and said that, there was an NAACP sanction filed against you and your response was not acceptable because Green Lantern is not a colored person. That was funny as hell.
I love that joke. I think that's great.
I got a huge kick out of that. Like I say, I probably laughed at it a little more than I should have, but man, that had me cracking up. But I mean, he raised an interesting point. It's like, I don't see a lot of brothers sitting around here, so.
It's so funny that you bring up Ghetto Man first, because that's what I remembered most about this going in, is Ghetto Man. Because I remember it being a little more cringy than it is. It's not as bad as I remembered, but it still straddles the line, especially like the intro of him. Because like the way like Ed McMahon says, oh, there are a lot of new superheroes, especially in minority areas. And you're like, wait, what? And then he introduces Ghetto Man, and out comes a black man in it's sort of like a 70s groovy, disco-y, like blaxploitation outfit, but with GM on the lapel, so that makes him Ghetto Man.
If I'm Gonna Get You Sucker would have been a superhero movie, this cat would have been in it, okay?
Yeah. And so I was like, the intro makes me go, oh God, oh no. But then his jokes actually are pretty funny, and I don't think they're not very offensive. I didn't think, because if anything, he called out the lack of diversity in the Justice League.
Exactly. Like I say, for me, just to get right to it, he was really the high point of the entire thing for me.
Yeah.
Because he called out that stuff, but he still had the funniest bits in the whole thing as far as I was concerned. So
I was shocked that he was not a professional stand-up. Because he is played by Brad Sanders, who I've never heard of, and like I thought, I'd look it up, and he was like a popular stand-up at the time, or no, like I don't know who he is. Isn't that crazy?
Not a name I'm familiar with.
Yeah, like I thought.
He did a good job. His stage presence was good.
Yeah.
Which is more than I can say for some of these other folks that show up later, but we'll get to that eventually.
Ryan, what did you think of Ghetto Man? I did. I didn't have as high of an opinion of him as you two seem to have. He was fine. I didn't really laugh at his jokes so much. It kind of fell flat for me.
Okay. Again, like I in my memory, it was a lot more offensive because it was in the set, just and not like inadvertently offensive just because of the time. And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't so bad. Some of the jokes, I do love that all the references throughout are so in the 70s. Like when Ed McMahon comes out, I think it's one of the best jokes in the whole thing is Ed McMahon comes out and he says something like, I haven't seen this many people dressed this way since an Alice Cooper show.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That was pretty solid too. Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And like, that's a reference that I still get. But then Ghetto Man, when he says, Captain Marvel, to get his powers, he screams Shazam. We black folk, for our powers, we scream Kareem. I get that, but it's such a 70s joke,
It is, but at the same time, that one paid off for me good at the end because when McMahon does that to send himself off, I got a hell of a chuckle out of that.
Yeah. And doesn't Ed McMahon say something else about like the amount of capes was like someone's closet? Oh my God.
Liberace, was that right?
No, it was somebody like that, but it was Capote, Truman Capote.
Truman Capote. Yeah, and so when he made the first jokes about Alice Cooper and Truman Capote, I was like, oh wow, this is actually a little edgier than I would have expected because of those initial references, and then the rest isn't, not really, but like those first two gave me hope that it would be funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'll say this. I thought that Ed McMahon made a really great MC for this entire thing. I thought he did an outstanding job.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of his specialty, and I was impressed that he had some pretty good jokes when he came out. And then I was a little disappointed that again the rest of the jokes didn't quite live up to it. But yeah, so had to call out Ghetto Man, and Jamie, I'm glad you went there first because it's still very much in the 70s. It's not great, but because it's still playing on black stereotypes, but he's good. We also got a bit with Hawkman's mom, and she's pretty funny. Her jokes aren't great, but she's funny. The jokes are all about essentially her son's a bird.
She had a couple that I thought were pretty chuckle worthy, but overall, I would probably rank her as far as like the actual roast guests. I would say she's second behind Ghetto Man for me.
Yeah. Well, and I thought so too, because again, I thought it was more her delivery that made it funny than the actual jokes. The jokes were again kind of lame. It was just, oh yeah, he's a bird, I got to put down the newspaper before you come over. Yeah.
I mean, it was almost like a series of dad jokes there or something.
Yes, exactly. What did she say? He came for Thanksgiving, said hi to the turkey, and left.
See, I laughed at that. It was so dumb, but I laughed at that. And it's not particularly well written or anything, but for some reason that would just hit me in the right way, and I chuckled at it.
She sold it, and do you know who that was?
Was that Ruth Buzzy?
No. Okay. Ruth Buzzy comes
Ruth Buzzy
later.
was in it, but I was like, it went by so fast, and I didn't rewind it to see who it was.
Yeah, Ruth Buzzy comes later. It was Pat Carroll, and do you know who Pat Carroll is?
No, I do not.
That's okay. Pat Carroll, she is like a journeyman actor. She was but kind of a character actor and did a lot of voice work. And so her most famous thing is that she was Ursula the Sea Witch in The Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay.
She was also Grandma on all the Garfield specials. But she's done like voice work forever. And so, yeah, she's just a really talented actor who was never a huge star. And when she came out, I was like, she's really funny. And I kept thinking it was Shelley Winters, but I'm like, no, it's not. I know who Shelley Winters is. This isn't her. And then when I checked the credits, I was like, oh, Pat Carroll. Well, that makes sense because Pat Carroll is awesome. She's Ursula.
Huh. Little shared universe podcast thing for you there, huh?
Yeah, there you go. So if you'd like to hear more about Ursula the Sea Witch, please check out Disorder, every Disney film. But no, I thought she was great. And so yeah, like it was interesting that some of the guest stars were actual guest stars, and then some weren't. Which was another reason I expected Ghetto Man to be a bigger star. Like they wanted Richard Pryor, but they couldn't, so they got this guy instead. But like it starts pretty much as a roast, which I think is pretty funny. But then it goes into some weird directions because you get like the gossip lady who comes in.
Yeah. There's a lot of downturn with that.
Yeah, Rhoda the gossip lady. And is she doing Barbara Walters?
I don't know.
I feel like she's kind of doing...
Anytime my parents turned on Barbara Walters, I left the room, so you're asking the wrong person there.
I feel like she's kind of trying to do Barbara Walters, but I can't be sure.
You know what she reminded me of was Gossip Gertie.
Well, there you go.
I don't know if it's just because the jobs were so similar or whatnot. I mean, it's just that's where my head went with it.
Of course. But yeah, so like she has like a little cutaway because she's got the scoop on a hot new superhero couple, and it's the Atom and Giganta. And this was kind of fun. I just like the bonus of getting the Atom in here too, because especially like if I was watching this as a kid, for me it would be more about like, oh, just how many superheroes do I get to see in this thing than anything. Sure. And the idea of putting those two together is kind of funny. And I was a little surprised that they were like, basically like, how does sex work between the two of you?
Well, see, that's just it. I mean, you would think something like this, especially being superhero oriented in the late 1970s, plus being a Hanna-Barbera production, you would really think this thing would be full bore targeted at a youth audience. And it's not. It really is not.
It's kind of trying to have it both ways, like there's some just goofiness that's obviously for kids, but then they make jokes like that where you're like, oh, like they're trying to keep the parents entertained as well. But this aired in prime time, so I guess that's why.
Yeah. Well, they're also they're talking around it, so they're not actually saying anything that a kid may pick up on.
Yes, that's true.
No, I mean, it's certainly subtle enough. It's just it didn't really feel to me like it was a youth-oriented show outside of the characters themselves. You know what I'm getting at? It just
right.
It didn't feel like something a kid would even be interested in watching, other than these people being in costume.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, maybe that's why it didn't work. Is it was too kiddie for grown-ups and too grown-up for kids.
That's probably a good call, I'd say.
Yeah.
Ryan, what about you? Any highlights that you wanted to point out?
Well, I got a kick out of the Robin totaling the Batmobile skit.
Yeah. That was insane because like they imply that Batman beats Robin.
Yes.
So
See, when that implication was made, all I could think of was, of course, that famous meme thing of Batman slapping him.
that's exactly it. I was like, oh, it's like the meme is about to come to life, like because Batman literally like raises his hand to Robin as if he is going to slap him with the back of his hand.
Yeah.
And Robin lives in fear of Batman's beatings, which is insane.
It's a textbook abusive relationship.
It was funny and bizarre, and it breaks down into charades at one point.
Yes, exactly. And like
it kind of lost me with the charades thing. I was like, all right, we've beaten this horse enough here. Let's cut it loose now. But
I did wonder. I'm like, is that how you break bad news? Is you do it via charades? Because I've never tried it. Maybe that works.
Maybe it does. I've never.
I mean, it worked. It worked here for a moment. Because for a second, Batman's just excited that he got it correct.
Yeah.
Until it sinks in. But yeah, it did crack me up of like of Robin trying to hide the fact that he totaled the Batmobile because he's so afraid of what Batman's gonna do to him. Oh, the best though is that there was a line that Batman said where he said, "Just wait till you see what I do to you when we get back to the Batcave." And I was like, whoa, get the kids out of the room.
The innuendo thickens.
It was like, oh dear, but it was funny to me.
Those rumors were true.
Yep, I mean, Aunt Harriet's been dead for a few years.
It's now the mansion of debauchery.
Hey, you know what, man? Whatever they got to do. But yeah, that whole thing it cracked me up because of how wrong it was. But like, it was like part of it was like intentionally wrong, but part of it was not. It was just a very interesting combination. But yeah, I really liked it. And so something else, like kind of backing up, is like I like how it's very much set up like a classic roast where everybody's sort of sitting at a table, but here it's not a table, but they all have like little seats with their logos in front of their seats. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about it on the first one, Jamie, about how the Huntress was kind of a weird choice for this, but it was probably because they couldn't use Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman was on ABC. And so the Huntress, I think here, she does get like a line of dialogue, which is nice, but they sort of had to create a logo for her. I don't know if you noticed, like I always notice stuff like that. And like, so they sort of had to create this weird shape that was pink, and then they put a crossbow in the middle of it. And I was like, like, I don't think that's her superhero logo, but they made one up. And then Black Canary, they just did like 2 black diamonds as if it's her mask.
Yeah, I thought hers was like the domino mask.
Yeah. So it was just interesting.
I didn't even notice Huntresses, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's really random, but I've always noticed that. Like we talked about it back when we talked about Batman the movie from the 60s, about how the 4 villains, they have that 4-sided periscope, and on each side is their logo.
Yep.
Except you never see one of their logos, and I can't remember whose it was. I want to say it was, you never see maybe Joker's, which always drove me nuts because I'm such like I'm a completist even in that way, and that like, no, I've got to see them all. And so here I was very curious as to, what did the logos look like via 1979? And the truth is that Black Canary and Huntress didn't have one, so they just made it up.
The other ones looked really good though.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no mistaking whose they were.
No, for sure. We get
and in that respect, I think I even mentioned this when we did the challenge. The costumes, the budget for these things is not terribly high, but the effort put into them for what they had to work with is commendable. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's like what we said then. Like you can tell who they are. The costumes are okay considering the time and the budget. And like we said, they're like the Halloween costume versions of all these characters. Mm-hmm. But they're not bad. And I'll just say, like, I like the look of 70s ladies, and so Black Canary and Huntress, I like looking at them.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying it, you know?
Oh, did anybody else find that the Schwarzenegger joke was kind of weird?
Yeah!
Because I didn't realize Schwarzenegger was a recognizable name back then.
Right.
Must have just been from his weightlifting career, because I don't think was
Well,
Was
he did
Hercules in New York even out yet?
I want to say that was about the time it would have come out. Was like 78, 79. I'm not positive on that, but like Terminator was really Conan was kind of what set him off, and then Terminator is what basically sent him into the stratosphere as far as everybody knowing who he was.
What year was
Right.
the first Conan?
82.
Oh,
sounds
really?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, you're right. 1982. Good on you.
I was just surprised because, I mean, they built that joke up for a second and then name dropped him and then moved on. And it's like, obviously, 10 years later, that joke would have certainly worked. But I just kept thinking to myself, in 79, would his name have been recognizable enough for that joke to have been worth that time they invested? I mean, it's not like they spent 10 minutes on it, but,
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't just like a quick name drop and then they moved on. They built into it, and dropped the name, and then moved on.
Right. No, it is crazy, but I get the feeling, and I'm sure that, some of our older listeners will tell us, but like, it seems like he became a star in his first field, which is why he ended up in movies, because they're like, hey, everybody loves this guy. What if we make him a movie star? Kind of like what happened with The Rock. The Rock was this wrestler whose stardom somehow surpassed just the sport of wrestling, to the point where they're like, he should also be in movies. I bet we can make some money off of him. So I do feel like maybe Schwarzenegger was the same, is that he became a household name just through his bodybuilding.
Yeah, because at that point, he would have had a Mr. Universe title or two under his belt. So.
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up. I guess Pumping Iron, the documentary, came out in '77, so that might have pumped his name out there a little more.
It might have pumped it up.
Uh-huh.
I see what you did there.
I bet you're right. That's a great call. And then we did get the return, as you mentioned, Jamie, of Solomon Grundy, your best friend.
I know. I really like that guy as Grundy. I mean, I don't think he was given the strongest material to work with here. I mean, it played itself off. Like after about the third time, I was like, all right, let's move along.
Yeah.
It got old, and I wanted him to actually do something else, like start roasting people.
Right.
But I like the look, and I like what that guy delivers in the part. I wanted something more for him to do,
Sure. Like we talked about on the first one, I love how he looks. He's perfect. I never thought I would see Solomon Grundy roughing up Ed McMahon, but here we are. Like, we get to see Solomon Grundy kick the crap out of Ed McMahon multiple times, which there is an inherent entertainment in that.
Yeah. I mean, Ed's selling it. He's doing his own stunt work, dropping to his knees. And,
Yeah, he was game.
Given his stature and age and whatnot, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that he went with that. But I mean, he seemed like he was kind of into it more or less. I mean, he's not like full blown physical comedy, Chevy Chase or Dick Van Dyke or something like that. But I mean, again, for what they're working with there, I think Ed did a pretty decent job selling it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you're right. They commit to that bit.
That's the problem with so many of the things in this where it goes wrong. It's just they latch onto something and they won't let go of it. And it's weird that I don't remember which one of you brought up the Saturday Night Live thing first.
I think it was Ryan.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ryan brought it up first. So the biggest problem I have with most Saturday Night Live skits that I don't like is that they latch onto something that they think is funny and they keep trying to force it and force it and force it and force it to the point where even if it started out funny, it's not funny anymore. Mm-hmm. And it just drags on, and that makes me crazy. And to me, that was the biggest downfall of this show, is they get too many things like the swamp bit, or the woman who wants the husband at the end, or the Mordrew musical number, which really was something. They kept just going on, and it's like so much of it for me overstayed its welcome.
For sure. I think you're right. Like, it's only an hour-long special, but even so, they stretch some stuff out to fill the time. And yeah, the swamp bit is a perfect example. So is, I guess we'll jump to the end, is the Mordrew musical number. So Mordrew was like the big villain in the first special. And so they did bring him back for the second one. And I liked it at first, how he started and he was sort of the big Wizard of Oz face, and he was intimidating and talking about villainy and everything. And then it transitions to him on stage. And then the joke is he starts singing That's Entertainment, but a different version of it. And that made me laugh when he started singing it. But then it's a whole number. And it's just not interesting enough to go that far, and it just keeps going. So yeah, that was one where they needed to know when to end it while it was still funny, but it overstays its welcome.
The song itself wasn't well written enough to carry the interest, and I have one of the worst singing voice that you've never heard in your life. I mean, once in a while, local people might catch me driving around with my windows down singing Rihanna's Umbrella, because I will jam that, and I'm sure I shattered terrible eardrums for poor people doing that, but I can't help it. Some songs I just have to sing. That, Bohemian Rhapsody, I just do it. But I have a horrible singing voice. I'm pretty sure I was better suited for this than this guy was.
Yeah.
Wow, it was just bad. It would have been funnier to me if he would have started through and got through one verse, and then Batman yanks the plug on the screen or something like that. Just something like that where it's just, all right, we've had enough of it, and it wouldn't stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I had the same problem with I don't remember what her name was, the character who wanted the husband.
It was Aunt Minerva, and that was Ruth Buzzy.
Yeah.
Okay. Was Ruth Buzzy, was she Laughing or
Laughing? Yep.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's been years since I've watched Laugh-In. I'm sure I used to watch it all the time when I got home from school with my mom. So Mom and I like that show a lot.
I did appreciate that Ruth Buzzy showed up because she is sort of a comedic legend, and so I thought it was fun that it was her.
Okay. My problem with that is, again, I think it went on too long, and it to me, and it's no disrespect to Ruth Buzzy in any way, the material itself just wasn't strong enough to make it worth the while.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of easy jokes, not a whole lot of creativity put into it.
I
agree.
Back to Mordred just a second is on the first one. I remember us saying I was like, God, this is such a 70s variety show. I'm surprised there aren't musical numbers. And when Mordred started singing, I was like, oh, and there it is. There's the 70s musical number.
Oh, so you willed this into existence. We have you to blame for this. Right.
You're welcome. I retroactively made that happen in 1979. And then Ruth Buzzy. It's fun because it's her, and she does the best she can with the material she's given. It's not a original joke, but it still made me laugh when the Flash said, "Yep, I'm the fastest man alive," and she goes, "Pass."
That might have been the highlight of that bit.
Yeah.
Again, not a new joke, but they made it work. I appreciated it. But you're right. Her kind of going down the line of potential new husbands. It wears out its welcome a little bit.
Yeah. And I guess we'd be remiss not to bring up Sinestro and Weather Wizard while we're at it, too.
Right.
Sinestro was such an odd choice for me. I don't remember him from the first one. Was he in it?
Yeah, he was in the first one. Remember, he dressed up. He's the one who dressed up in drag as a fortune teller.
That's right. Oh, God, that's right. Because in this, I don't remember him pulling the stereotypical seedy, sleazy Brooklyn type personality in the first one.
I think it was there, yeah.
But I mean, none of his material landed for me in this.
No. His jokes were pretty bad. I still like him. I still think he's pretty well cast as a 70s Sinestro. And Weather Wizard I thought was fun, but Weather Wizard to me, he had a kind of a deep V-neck, and I just saw that hairy chest, and there was something 70s porn star about him. The big bushy chest hair coming out of his shirt. But when he came out, he did he did sort of a standard roast, and I was like, oh, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be each of the supervillains coming out and doing their roast. But then again, it kept taking weird turns with the Gossip Gertie, not Gossip Gertie, whatever her name was, you know who I mean.
Rhoda Rooter.
Yeah, Rhoda Rooter, and then Mordred's big song and dance number, and Ruth Buzzy looking for a husband, and then it stopped becoming about roasting the superheroes. It just became sort of random, and some of it I think worked better than others.
Yeah, I think I would have liked it a lot more if it would have just been the straight roast format front to back.
Yeah, me too. I think so too. I think it would have just been cleaner and easier, and I think more because again, instead of seeing Rhoda Rooter, I'd rather see another villain come out and roast. I wanted Frank Gorshin's Riddler to come roast Batman and Robin. That would have been amazing. And
wait a sec. Wait. Where? Okay.
Is that your wallet?
Yep.
Yeah, like that's like seems like such a missed opportunity because he was in the first half, and he would be amazing. The fact that the Riddler wasn't roasting the superheroes seems like a huge missed opportunity. So I guess I wanted more of that. I think that would have gone a long way. And yeah, even Solomon Grundy, if he had done the swamp bit and then did some roasting and then they end with the swamp bit, I think it would have worked a little better. But all it was just the one long bit about him hating the swamp.
It would not stop. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes, like literally 5 minutes that went on, and it was all for that one bit. And it wasn't worth the effort as far as I'm concerned there.
Yeah. And then Dr. Savannah's back.
Yeah.
So I swear to God, if I didn't know better, I would think that Dr. Savannah was Robin Williams in disguise. Like there was something about the way he talked and moved reminded me of young Robin Williams. It's not.
No.
It's not. It's an actor named Howard Morris, but there was just something about him that reminded me of old school Robin Williams. And I thought he had a couple funny bits too about like, oh, I'll prove I'm a doctor. Say now give me $50. You know.
That was pretty good. I mean, he kind of represents the entire show for me because I mean he had some stuff that was pretty good. He had some stuff that really wasn't, and so I think it just went on a little longer than it needed to. I mean, you as far as my summary of it is concerned, I really think he represents the entire thing in a nutshell for me.
Yeah.
And I always like roasts anyway. You know, like I used to watch some of the Dean Martin stuff at my grandparents' house, and I always get a kick out of those, even if the jokes went over my head, like some of them didn't. And, you know, some of the newer roasts that they had on Comedy Central over the last 10 years or so, whatever it's been, there's always some stinkers that go in there, but there's always some moments that really make you laugh. And that's what I've always liked about roasts is somebody's up there ripping jokes, 8 to 10 jokes while they're doing a bit because they're roasting everybody else that's in attendance, plus the guest of honor, if you will. There's bound to be something that's going to make you laugh there, and there's bound to be some stuff that's just like, all right, you played that up. Very rarely does it hit, top to bottom or miss top to bottom. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I expected out of this going in, and you're right. I really think it just went off the rails, and they let go of the roast thing and tried to make it something else in the process, and it just, for me, just didn't work in that respect.
Yeah, it became less roast and more skits, like Ryan said. Yeah. Little skits here and there. We also did get the return of Retired Man. So they apparently thought Retired Man was so funny in the first half that they had to bring him back for the second one.
Yeah. Okay.
That's somebody's
somebody
opinion.
thought so because it sure wasn't me.
I thought there were a couple funny bits when he first showed up, like how he was trying to like tell the story and he dozed off and stuff, and how they brought his rocking chair. There were a couple things that I did think were funny. Like they got a little more out of the old superhero in this one than they did in the challenge. But then when he had the weird little jokes right before the commercial breaks, those to me I thought were really flat.
Yeah.
But he was back. Retired Man. They love him.
They had him on contract. It was cheap labor.
I guess so. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that was real quick. I wanted to mention how Weather Wizard. So aside from, he did the most, I think, straightforward roast of all the villains. And so I appreciated that. But he also did a Johnny Carson impression. And I was waiting for him to to roast Ed McMahon. Like that would have been really funny, but he didn't. Like he sidestepped that.
Yeah, that seems like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, but hey, maybe that was part of the deal. Ed McMahon's like, I'm doing you guys a favor. Don't you make fun of me. He's like, so Solomon Grundy can beat the crap out of me. That I don't mind.
I was going to say, I'll take an ass whooping from Solomon Grundy, but no, you're not going to make any jokes about me being Carson's footstool.
Right. I mean, who wouldn't want to get beat up by Solomon Grundy?
I mean, we've all wanted that.
Who? I mean, if you got to go. So... all right. I'm trying to think of anything else that I failed to mention.
I want to go back to Dr. Savannah for a bit.
Yes, let's.
I recognize that actor.
Oh, really?
When he first came on, I thought, well, that guy looks a lot like Phil Collins. And then I got a closer look at him, and I looked him up, and I was like, oh, I know who that is. That is, he played Ernest T. Bass on the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, talk about a deep dig. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I gotta tell you, I've never really watched the Andy Griffith Show, so even that doesn't really mean much to me. I just clicked on him on Wikipedia, and yeah, I don't recognize him, but but he was good. Like, even if his material wasn't good, he was good. He committed to the character. He definitely, he went for it.
I enjoyed his performance. His material, maybe not so much, but his performance was really good. He was putting his whole ass in there.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's material was all that noteworthy all the way through, but there are some people that certainly sold it better than others, and I think he was one of those.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a pretty funny moment where he went to the Flash and he was like, "All right, we're gonna test your speed. Go, run a mile." And he clicks on it, and then the Flash just kind of disappears and appears. He's like, "Listen, if you don't want to do it, fine. We're not going to do it," or something like that. Where he didn't even realize the Flash had already done it. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
See, I used to do that to my kids. That's a dad joke. I used to do that to my kids all the time. I'd be like, "You want to see how fast I can run down to the mailbox and back? Yeah. You want to see it again?" Yeah. For years, those kids believed I was that fast too.
Oh, kids! Thanks for being so dumb. We appreciate it. All right. Well, the roast. Legends of the Superheroes, the roast from January of 1979. Overall closing thoughts on it, Jamie.
I mean, I've more or less said multiple times what I thought of it. It's worth watching. It's not a regular rotation thing for me. I mean, 5-10 years down the road, maybe I'll revisit it again. I do happen to have the DVD, and of course the DC universe. If it's still around at that time, I could watch it there. And it's not bad. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's bad. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's not enjoyable, because I think there's at least as much to like as there is to dislike, if not a little bit more. And it's just an obscure corner of the DC universe that I've never seen anything quite like. I mean, this and The Challenge both really kind of fit that bill. So if you're really huge into the DC stuff, which if you listen to this podcast, I'd say odds are pretty solid of that, and you haven't watched these, I mean, give it a whirl. Have some alcohol handy. Once this social distancing thing, if we can get that to go away, have some friends over. Just like I said with the other one, it'd be a good 45-minute drinking game anyhow, Just MST3K it or whatever. It was fun. It's not amazing. I guess is how I'll land it. But I will tell you what would be amazing, though, if, being the fans that they are, the Berlanti crew over at the CW shows would say, "Hey, there's this obscure thing that the DC people did way back in the late 70s with Hanna-Barbera on a network thing, Primetime. Maybe we should do like a crossover episode where we get Batwoman, Oliver Queen, Flash, all the DC CW heroes and villains together and do an actual full-blown roast for like 2 hours." How awesome would that be?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, these people have so much chemistry and familiarity with each other anyway. That's always when the roasts work best, is when the people know each other. So
right.
I think that would be incredible if they would, come around to that idea. I mean, it's probably something that'll never happen. It'd be a pipe dream, but to me, that would just be really cool.
Yeah. I'm like you. I love roasts in any way. I just think they're hysterical. So I'd be down for that. Ryan, what about you? Just some closing thoughts. You're welcome for me forcing you to watch this.
Oh, thank you very much. I didn't hate it. It was fine. I'm not going to ask for my 48 minutes back. It has its ups and downs. It's not very well written, but there's some people in there trying to do some good stuff, and I don't really. I just think that it was okay. That's really all I got to say about it right now.
All right, it was okay. Great.
It was okay.
That's actually what the cover of the DVD I have says.
Yep, it was okay.
It's a great pull quote for your DVD box for sure.
I love it, knowing what it is, but I love going back in time and watching random old crap from the 70s and 80s, and there's just something so fun about that. So I don't love it because it's a great show. I love it because of what a weird snapshot it was, of 1979, and what is a TV special, and how would you portray these characters at that time. I just think it's so funny that this got made. And I appreciate it for that. I mean, I'm the guy who, on multiple holiday specials, has sung the praises of the Paul Lynde Halloween special. So
I still haven't watched, by the way.
Apparently it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
so
it is. It is. I have it on my list, but I'm saving it for Scarathon.
Oh, it's perfect for Scarathon. So I love, like, I love entertainment that is like cheesy from the 70s. I just think it's so fun. And so that's how I enjoy this is, yeah, some of the jokes are funny, some aren't, the production values are not great, but I just love how weird and random it is. And I love that it got made. So, yeah, like if you appreciate things from that era and you like these characters, it's really fun to see how that came together in these two TV specials. If you don't, if you're like, oh God, 70s stuff is the worst, maybe you won't enjoy it. But I definitely think it's worth checking out. You just got to know what it is. So yeah, it's really fun. And I love that it's on DC Universe. And it's worth noting that the video quality of it on DC Universe is actually really good. So
that was pretty respectable considering, yeah.
Yeah, I wondered about that because, who knows how long the masters of these shows have been sitting in a warehouse. So I was concerned that it might be really grainy or really rough, but it actually looks really good for something from 1979, so kudos to that. But no, I have a blast with both of these specials because of what they are. Yeah, it's a good time. It's so 70s, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. So check it out.
When was the Red Brown Captain America TV stuff going on?
That was right around the same time, like 78.
Okay, because the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man stuff would have been 78.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, yeah. So I wonder if this was some sort of a response to this, and that, they saw some success with those other two things. I mean, I don't know how much success they had or didn't. I want to say each one of them had at least, I mean, obviously they had at least one, but I want to say they both had 2 TV movies. I'm not
yes.
positive. Okay.
Well, The Amazing Spider-Man, I think, was an actual show.
Was it?
Yeah.
But Captain America was just 2 TV movies.
Okay.
And they were both 1979, so you're right, the same time.
I was around for those. I remember watching them on. As a matter of fact, one of the Spider-Man things came out on my birthday that year.
Wow.
So yeah. Again, I just wonder if this was some sort of a response to that to see if they could get some traction with it.
Oh, so get this. You might be right. I love both of those too for the very same reason that I like this. Is I just the 70s cheese I think is so fun. But the first Captain America TV movie aired on January 19th of 1979. So the first Legend of the Superheroes was on January 18th. The next day was the Captain America special. And then 6 days later was the roast.
Fascinating.
Isn't that crazy?
So obviously they weren't necessarily a response to each other's success or whatnot, but maybe somebody at one studio got wind of what the other was doing and was like, hey, let's try this.
I mean, I think there was just a superhero resurgence at that time because, as you pointed out the first time we talked about this special, is that this was just a month or so after Superman the movie came out.
Right.
And on TV at this time was Wonder Woman, was The Incredible Hulk, and
Super Friends, which would have been
Super Friends on
power there.
Yeah, Super Friends on Saturday morning, and then they were making a TV movie of Captain America. They were doing a live action Spider-Man, and then they did this. So yeah, it was like superheroes were really hot for a minute in the late 70s, and these were all right around the same time. And that era of superheroes, I think, is just so fun.
We've come so far in 40 years.
Right? So yeah, I think that all factors into it. But all right, well, the roast. Thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you watch it. If you didn't watch it, at least hopefully you enjoyed us talking about it. It's fun and ridiculous for what it is, but it is worth watching. So check it out. Something else that we watched on DC Universe is the next episode of Batman Beyond. So let's do that. Let's check out and review the next episode in our rewatch of Batman Beyond. All right, so last time we talked about Hooked Up, which we loved. Now we are in Season 2, Episode 9, Rats. This one... Where? is the info. This one was directed by Kurt Gaeta, written by Rich Fogel, and this one aired on November 20th of 1999. So, Rats. This episode, Terry McGinnis and Dana continue to have problems because he continues not being around when she needs him because he's very busy being Batman, working for Bruce Wayne. She thinks it's just his job. He's actually being Batman. And so this has been a constant issue, and it's finally come to a head, and Dana's like, you know what? I'm done. Forget about it. And he can't tell her why he's never around. So she's like, I'm always there for you. I need someone who's going to be there for me. And so as she's walking, she finds a flower that says, I will be there for you. She thinks it's Terry. And so she's like, oh, and she forgives him really quickly. One flower, that's all it takes. So I give her credit for that. One flower and she's okay. Good for you. And so she makes a date with Terry. And Terry's like, great, I'll be there no matter what. Oh, famous last words. That ain't going to happen. So, of course, he's on his way. And all hell breaks loose. Batman is needed. And he misses their date again. She finds another flower. And she finds out these flowers are not from Terry. They're from a little rat boy who lives in the sewers. His name is Patrick Fitz. And he looks like a rat. He's got these giant, huge rats as pets. He's a hoarder. He's a pack rat. He collects a bunch of junk in his little lair down in the sewers. And he's like, no one appreciated me, and I want to appreciate you. So he kind of kidnaps Dana. And so Batman tries to find Dana. Dana's trying to escape on her own. Eventually, Batman does find her. Manages to get her out of the sewer and save her from the little rat boy. She still doesn't know Batman is Terry, so when Terry comes to find her, she forgives him again because she's just happy to see Terry and to have escaped from that situation. So they sort of make up, and she still doesn't know his big secret. So that is Rats. Ryan, what were your thoughts on this episode?
Well, let me preface this in saying this is the first ever episode of Batman Beyond I have actually sat down and watched.
What?
Yes.
My condolences.
I had only ever watched The Return of the Joker prior to this.
So you've not been following along with us?
No, I've been listening, but I have not watched along.
That's okay. It's on DC Universe. Get tokens, man.
I was just never interested in the concept of Batman Beyond. I'm one of those people who feels that Bruce Wayne is the only Batman and there ever should be. But just saying that, I liked the episode okay. They had an interesting setup, and then I feel like it kind of wraps up really quickly.
We have found that to be a pattern. Is like they all seem to wrap up really quick. You're like, oh, and we're done? Oh, okay. So yeah, it's weird. They don't really transition out too smoothly. So your very first episode of Batman Beyond, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But God bless you for watching it. Thanks for watching it for us. Now are you hooked and you're gonna watch the rest?
I don't think I will.
Okay. Well, spoilers. If this was my first episode, I don't blame you. There are much better episodes than Rats.
I would hope.
I would certainly recommend going back and watching Hooked Up. I mean, take 22 minutes, watch that. For my money, that was the strongest episode we've watched to date. And if that doesn't work for you, then yeah, pass on all the rest of it.
Yeah, honestly, the last few had been really good, and Rats, not so much. At least not for me. Jamie, maybe I'm crazy, Jamie. Maybe this one's great. Tell me.
Sir, I have a lot of problems with this episode. First and foremost, I don't believe ROUSs exist.
Oh, they do though.
But only in fire swamps, not in New Gotham.
Right.
Listen, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about this particular episode. I don't think it's strongly written. I don't think the character work is great. It focuses a lot on Dana, which I don't think Dana is a very good character. Terry either needs to cut that relationship loose or tell her he's Batman. We're a season and a half in, which means we're about halfway through the run, and he's still doing the same thing with her every time up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over and over again, and it's really, really tired for me. And I don't think Dana's a strong enough character to carry an episode. So choosing to focus on her more than anything else was, for me, was a mistake here. I don't think the rat boy was particularly interesting. I don't think the usage of the giant rats and the normal sized rats that were his pals were particularly intriguing. The only positive I have about this episode is Mad Stan and the fact that he was voiced by Henry Rollins, whom I absolutely love.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I only caught it because of the credits. It wasn't because I picked up listening to his voice.
Wow.
So, give me a whole episode or two of him, because I don't remember him showing up before. But that
no, he's new.
Okay. So
Don't
if he
worry.
shows up again, great, because Henry Rollins is amazing. And the fact that he pile drived him and got his ear stuck in the ground, that did make me really laugh out loud pretty hard. But
Nice.
past that, I'll jump straight to the end. If it hadn't been for Henry Rollins and Mad Stan and that pile driver, this would have been an F.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're actually pretty close on this. I agree with you. Like the whole Terry Dana drama, I am so over it. I get so tired of it. And anytime they go back to it, I'm like, we've done this. Like, shit or get off the pot. I don't care. But like, I'm tired of the constant, you missed another date and now we're in a fight. And like, bleh. So like, that's annoying. I guess the positive I will say is that this is the first time they really dedicated an episode to it. So it sort of did feel like it had come to a head. But then when they leave it, it seems like we're just going to do it all over again another time. So it's not like they resolved it, but I was kind of hoping they would, because I'm tired of that. I think that there's a kernel of a good idea in the rat boy, but I didn't like him. He was kind of lame. He felt a little arbitrary. He kind of came out of nowhere. You're like, who the hell is this kid? It's just sort of random. He wasn't threatening enough to be a cool villain, and he wasn't likable enough to be a cool character, so he didn't really work for me.
So many of us in the geek community at some point have felt like an outcast. I think I speak for a lot of us in this circle, that that he should be a really relatable character for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't find him interesting enough to give a damn either way. So yeah. I'm with you on that page.
I agree with you. Like, and yeah, I think if we'd gotten more set up on him, maybe that would have been different. Maybe he could have been sort of a tragic villain, the way like the Mad Hatter was. Like, I love how they handled Mad Hatter in Batman the Animated Series, how they really set up he was an outcast, and he was in love with this girl, and she had no idea. And like the way they set him up made him very sympathetic. And this one, they didn't do the work to make him sympathetic. So instead, he just tells you, and you go, yeah, sure, okay, I get it, but I feel like it doesn't really work or resonate. So yeah, for me, it's okay. I didn't absolutely hate it, but for me, it didn't quite come together as a good episode.
I know why Brendan ducked out this week. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah. And I also just, in general, in media, in movies and TV, the whole, I got to get to this appointment, this important appointment, and then everything goes wrong, so they miss the appointment, whether it be their kid's play or, a date or a dinner or something. Like, it's such a trope, and it's a trope I never enjoy, and I don't know why we always do it, but... So, like, when I saw that that's where this was going, I was like, oh, great. Like, of course something's going to happen. He's going to miss the date. Like, it's just that thing again. It's the whole Mrs. Doubtfire. I love Mrs. Doubtfire, but the end, whereas I was like, this whole problem of having to be at two dinner tables at the same restaurant could have been avoided if you had just told the family you were sick. But I know that doesn't make an interesting movie, so I just get
It's when they try to play on the whole Murphy's Law thing and take it seriously that it doesn't work for me.
Right.
When it's played for comedy, it can go either way at that point. I'm not saying it works every time. But
yeah.
When they try to take the Murphy's Law thing seriously, I have struggles with it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, I don't love this episode. It's a shame because I do feel like season 2 thus far has been really strong. And for me, this is the first one I really was just like, oh, am I being too hard on it? But it just I don't think it's very good.
I also find that going out to eat on a date for chili is a bit unusual. Maybe Texas.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That this hot chick in her little mini dress, she wants to go out for chili.
Yeah, And that white dress, you're just asking to get a stain on it if you're going to eat chili.
He's got a fair point there.
It's so random. Okay, what is your letter grade for Rats, Ryan?
I'm probably gonna settle somewhere on a C minus, D plus area.
Okay. Jamie?
I said before, without Mad Stan, this would have been an F for me. But again, I got a good chuckle out of that pile driver thing, and I just absolutely... Did I mention how much I love Henry Rollins? Because I love Henry Rollins. So it elevates all the way up to a whopping D for me just because of him.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah, I was at a C minus. Like, it's watchable, but it is certainly one of their worst ones. Worser, not so good. So, all right, that was Rats. And Brendan, you dodged a rat bullet this week. So, next one up is Mind Games. So that is your homework for whenever we do the next episode of Batman Beyond. But before we wrap things up, we are going to, as always, check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
And we do have a lot. You folks have a lot to say, so let's see what we can do. Let's see how many we can get through.
I can't wait to tell somebody what my favorite Iron Man movies are this week.
Hey.
Is it none of them?
The first one. Does the first Avengers count as an Iron Man movie? Because I really love that.
Probably.
Okay.
All right. This one here is from Aussie Shepherd. It says, Jamie's back. Welcome back, Jamie.
Thank you.
It says, Andy, I think you mentioned your love of Michael Myers and the Halloween movies. So what movie villain from another franchise would you like to see Batman go up against? Sign me up for Batman versus the T-1000. Aussie, thank you. And yes, the Halloween movies are great, even the bad ones. I will watch the hell out of. So, what I love the question. This one's a fun one, and it's Batman related. Bonus points. So, Batman versus a villain from another movie. Jamie, what do you think?
I have never read it. I am aware of the existence of at least one, if not more, series involving it. But you know, if I could get like even an animated movie, if not a live action one, of Batman versus a Predator, that would be incredible.
I do have those comics, the initial run from like the early 90s.
I gotta ask, are they good? And I only ask that because on my plane trip to Orlando this past fall, I found one on DC Universe that was Superman, Batman versus Alien and Predator. And I thought, my God, how could this go wrong? And it was awful.
Oh. I haven't read it since I was younger, so I remember liking it, but I also probably just liked seeing Batman and Predator, so take that as you will. Ryan, what about you? A villain from another franchise that Batman should fight?
Boy, Predator is definitely one but that was already pre-established in several other things. When you said Michael Myers, my mind started going through various horror movies. I'm a big Friday the 13th buff myself, so Jason Voorhees definitely popped into my mind.
Okay, I would watch that too. I mean, I would watch Batman fight pretty much anyone. But yeah, I'm trying to think of one that hasn't been done in one way or another, you know? Like,
yeah.
Because there are a lot of, like, there have been official crossovers, there have been, like, fan-made things. But, I mean, you gave me Batman and Michael Myers. I'd watch that. I know there's got to be I would have said Batman and Shredder, but they gave us that in an animated movie, and it was awesome.
Did you ever finish those comics, by the way?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, those were so good.
Yeah, I think I did. Those were great. But God, yeah, nothing else is springing to mind. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to think of like favorite villains from other movies. How about Batman? What?
Hans Gruber.
I guess, but I feel like Batman could take out Hans Gruber pretty easily.
But he's an exceptional thief.
That's true. That is true. And he dresses so nice.
John Phillips, London.
I was gonna say like maybe Batman versus Hannibal Lecter.
That would be a battle of wits. That would.
Because yeah, it would be more of a battle of wits. But like Hannibal Lecter, like if he's out in the wild, you know.
Because Hannibal feels kind of like a Riddler-ish character, so that would work pretty well, I think.
Yeah. Good question. I like it. All right, next message is from our old pal Stuart from Guernsey. It says, this is a response to a question we got a couple weeks ago, saying it was someone asking us if it was worth getting a Twitter just to follow us. He says, I'm that one person. I found after having MySpace and then Facebook that my mind was in a better place when I wasn't using social media for social interaction, so I never made a Twitter account. But after finding out about missing polls for the show and other information that you might post that doesn't get mentioned, I decided to make an account just so I wouldn't miss anything from you guys. That's all I use it for, so you're the only account that I follow. I only use Facebook to source information on things I'm interested in or for keeping in contact with people who live elsewhere in the world. Anyway, I thought I'd let you know that I was the one person out there. Haha, hope you're doing well, Stuart. Stuart, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you. And I totally understand where you are coming from. I've definitely distanced from social media quite a bit for that reason, because for some reason it can really put you in a bad mood. It can be negative.
I've made some really great friends on social media, but my God, there's more days than not where I just think, why am I doing this?
Yeah, it is. It's such a double-edged sword. But yeah, like honestly, Twitter I pretty much just use for the podcast stuff, like especially for Holy BatCast. But then I also do the RF or RM one in those episodes. So it's really more about that than anything. And yeah, but Ryan, I don't mean to call you out, but I feel like your Twitter is pretty small too.
Yeah, I don't follow a whole lot of people. I think I got like 50 people that I follow.
Yeah.
It's mostly just to keep up on a few things, and I don't post a whole lot myself. I'm what you like to call as a lurker on the internet. I don't participate a whole lot. I just like to watch other people do things and then move on.
You're probably happier and healthier for it.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
He's a social distancing voyeur. I like it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, like I mean, for Holy BatCast, like yes, like I use Twitter and the Facebook for polls and stuff like that, like to get feedback, and so I appreciate the people who do participate in that stuff. Next message is from Max Snippet. It says, hey, how are you? After listening to your last episode, I'd be thrilled if you did cover Nightwing, The New Order on the show. It's a great story, and it's very different. It's very different to anything else Elseworlds, and it's a different take on Dick Grayson. Hopefully you'll make it happen. Thanks, Max. All right, Max, that's another vote for Nightwing, The New Order. So, Jamie, help me remember. It's a pretty quick read, actually, because I did just read it a couple weeks ago, and I think I read it in like maybe an hour and a half, so it's not a huge commitment.
Okay, but after that, we got to do Kings of Fear.
Oh, okay. All right, next. Oh, it's another one of these, but this one's a little better, Jamie. I think you'll like this one. Okay. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family. This is from Joseph Stewart. It says, I hope all's well. What is your list of Superman movies from top to bottom?
Like for all of them, or like 5, or what?
He says all. Your list of favorite Superman movies of all time from top to bottom. So okay. I think I would say, here's what I'll say. I'll say the live action Superman movies. Like if you put in all the animated direct-to-video ones, that's.
Oh, I wasn't.
No. Okay, that's too much. But yeah, so I would say Superman 1 through 4, Superman Returns, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. Do you think that's fair?
And Justice League.
I guess.
Maybe.
I mean, he's in it, but like. It's up to you. If you want to include Justice League, you be my guest.
All right. Well, let's see. Number 1 is Man of Steel, and that's firm bullet there because that's still my favorite of the DCEU films. Number 2, I would say Superman the movie. Number 3, Batman v Superman. Number 4, Superman 2. Number 5, Justice League. Number 6. Superman Returns. Number 7, Superman 4. Number 8, Superman 3.
Nice.
Did I miss one?
I think you got it.
Okay.
I think you did it. Ryan, what about you?
I am in agreement with Jamie. Man of Steel is number 1. Superman the movie number 2. I would put Superman 2 at number 3, followed by Batman v Superman, Superman Returns, Justice League, Superman 3, Superman 4.
All right.
I just want to throw this caveat out there. I have Superman 3 and 4 on pretty equal footing. I do not hate either movie. I know what they are. I watched them, way back when in my youth, because back then that was the only superhero content we had, so we took what we could get. Some of you folks may not remember those days. I do. They were a very dark time. Superman 4 got over Superman 3 for me because of Mariel Hemingway and Mariel Hemingway alone.
Well, and also Nuclear Man is so much cooler than fake Lex Luthor.
But Richard Pryor.
Well,
I get a kick out of evil Superman and Superman 3. That's what pushes it over for me.
All right.
That was enjoyable enough.
All right, that's valid. Okay.
But, Richard Pryor was trying to get into that whole family-friendly thing because he had like a Saturday morning block at that time too, give or take a couple of years, I think.
He should have just made a movie of Ghetto Man.
Shit, where do I sign up for that?
You guys were so close to doing mine, and then I was just going to be like, yeah, what you said, but you both screwed it up, damn it. Okay, so now I got it here. Number 1, Man of Steel. Number 2, Superman the movie. Number 3, Superman 2. Number 4, Batman v Superman. Number 5, Justice League. 6, Superman Returns. 7, Superman 4. And then 8, Superman 3. Yeah. All right.
Sounds like we're all pretty equal.
We're pretty close. Yeah, they're just
around in there. But.
There's some split hairs in there, but pretty close. I think Jamie, you and I your and mine were exactly the same, except we swapped Superman 2 and Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
All right,
that's no disrespect to Superman 2. I love the movie, but if I had the two of them, I pulled the Andy on that. If I had the two of them in front of me right now, which one would I watch?
Yeah. All right, next one's from Nick Zednick. It says, hey, Holy BatCast, thank you for starting the Batman Isolation Challenge. It's been so cool to hear so many different takes on Batman, even if they're the same. So since you're doing the Isolation Challenge all month, I'd love to know, number 1, what's your favorite Superman story comic? And most importantly, are you team Red Trunks or no Trunks? Keep up the great work and good wishes to you and your families. Kind regards, Nick Zednick. Thank you, Nick. Another Superman question. What? All right. First of all, Isolation Challenge, I have to give all the credit to Brendan. He's the one who came up with it, and he goes, wouldn't this be fun? And I said, yes, that would be fun. So thanks, Brendan. Good job. And I've just been happy to help host and participate in it, but that was his baby. So favorite Superman story or comic, and then Red Trunks or no Red Trunks, Jamie?
The Red Trunks, easiest question I'm going to answer all day. Definitely plus Red Trunks. I'm still mad to this day. What are we, almost 7 years down the road from Man of Steel? I'm still mad that costume didn't have the trunks on it. So yeah, I'm definitely in the pro trunk side there. Favorite Superman comic? Wow. The one that noticeably pops in my mind. I mean, I'm a big fan of Birthright. I think that's an excellent story. I think it's certainly one of the better Superman stories that I personally ever read. The Doomsday story was fun. I really enjoyed that a lot, but I don't know if I can consider that great because, and I mean, maybe it's wrong of me to do it, but I deduct points on that because of the C-Team Justice League that he was working with at the time.
Yeah.
Like Bloodwind, like Maxima is the only one I recognize from it. Maybe, I guess Guy Gardner too. Just not if it would have been the A-tier Justice League in that, I think I would have been way more into that. There was, in the Rebirth era, when Tomasi and Gleason were writing it, and I've said this before, and I can never remember specifically the issue number. It was just a one-off story. To me, it is one of the best. I mean, it's technically kind of a Justice League story, but it isn't a Superman book, so I'm counting it here. I want to say it was like number 26. Jay Yaws is throwing shit at me right now, I can tell you. They basically take a bunch of kids from like a sick ward at a hospital up to the Watchtower, and the kids get to spend the day with the Justice League, and it is so heartwarming and so incredible, and I love it so much, and I think it's one of the best modern comics that I've had the pleasure of reading. And it's just a one-off issue. I'm sure by now it's old enough. It's on DC Universe, so anybody that has it can go track it down. But I don't even remember the title of the story or this. I know it was I'm pretty sure it was in the 20s, like 26-ish, give or take. But that was fantastic, and I adore it.
All right, Ryan, what about you?
I am in the no trunks category.
Oh, now fight!
Yeah. And
is your mother's name Bartha by chance?
It is not.
Okay, we're good.
As far as Superman comics, I don't know. Maybe you don't consider this a Superman comic. I certainly do, even though it kind of encompasses the greater DC universe. I'm gonna have to go with Kingdom Come.
Oh, okay, cool.
Very good story. Yeah.
So as far as Superman stories that come to mind, one that I loved in my big comic book phase in the 90s was Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite. Just because
I don't know that I've ever even heard of that.
It's so fun to say. Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite. It's Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite.
Oh, it's even got a theme song.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm sure it's on DC Universe. It was a fun one. It's like a 4-part story. But I loved Superman's Secret Origin by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank.
Oh, that was another great one. Yes,
that one, amazing. So I would say that one. And then Trunks or no Trunks, I will be the tiebreaker between Jamie and Ryan. And so my preference is I don't care.
Well, at least we covered every base on that one.
It's one of those things that fans are so passionate about, and I literally don't care either way. Like, Trunks or no Trunks, great, whatever. I'm fine. He's Superman. It doesn't matter to me.
I can live without it. Batman's costume without the trunks, the way they draw him in the comics, usually works for the most part, but Superman just has never looked right to me without it, page or screen. It's just my own take.
All right, next message here is from Michael Murphy. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast, since Matt Reeves loves Batman Returns, would you like to see Colin Farrell's Penguin spit black goo in a scene in a tribute to Danny DeVito?" Michael, yes. It's not going to happen, but yes, I would. Jamie?
I think that would draw a smile from me because we'd know where that came from.
And he needs to bite some sucker's nose off. I'm sorry, Ryan, yes, you?
Yeah, why not?
Hell yes, Michael. All right. Next message is from Weston Craig. It says, "Hey, what is the best deal you've ever gotten on DC merchandise? What was it and where? Also, if you're going to get a statue of a member of the Trinity or Nightwing, which would you choose?" Oh, it sounds like Weston is shopping to me, and he needs some help shopping, which I respect. Buy your DC cool stuff. I'm with you. Jamie, best deal on DC merch, and then should he get the Trinity or Nightwing?
Best deal on DC merch. Today I finally pulled the trigger on that iTunes deal to get the 11 package bundle of the Superman and Batman movies.
Good.
I mean, that's price-wise, it was like $50 for 11 movies. You can't go wrong with that, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
Even though I already owned all of them. And now I have another damn copy of Batman and Robin, which is why it took me that long to pull the trigger.
Worth every penny, dude.
But hey, this one's in 4K at least, right? Am I right? Because I'll never watch it again, so at least it's in 4K.
You'll watch it again. I'll find an excuse to make you watch it again.
I hate you. I don't know. I can't. Nothing pops to mind immediately on that. And then, what was the second question again? I'm sorry.
If you're going to get a statue of a member of the Trinity or Nightwing, which would you choose?
Member of the Trinity, assuming Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman, yes?
No, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Oh. Well,
yeah. I want a statue of the Holy Ghost. It seems the coolest.
I've got a huge crucifix hanging up in the wall right behind me. So
I mean, that counts as DC merchandise now. Did you get a good deal on it?
Well, it was my grandmother, so when she died, I got it for free, so yes.
There you go. There's your answer.
All right. I mean, I'd go with Batman over any of them, but I mean, I suppose I'd have to see them to know specifically which ones we're going against. But my instinct is to say Batman over and above all.
Yeah. Ryan, what about you?
I don't know if I have an answer as far as best deal on DC merch. I'm kind of struggling with that. As far as statues are concerned, I have a Batman and I have a Superman, so I guess I just need a Wonder Woman to just round out the whole thing.
Smart. I'm with you. That's good. My best deal on DC merch, and I've said it on this show before, was when I got the Batwing toy back in 1989 for $9.
There you go.
Yeah, I was so proud of it. It was only $9, and I had 10. I was able to get it. I still love that thing for that reason. And then if I were to get a statue, I'm with Jamie. I'd go with Batman first, and then I'd probably jump to Nightwing before Superman and Wonder Woman.
Interesting.
All right, next message is from Sam Lund. It says, with the closing of the DC animated universe, I've been wanting to do a rewatch, but I can't find a list of them in order. Do you know the order? Sam, I do. Hold on one second, and I will get it to you. Because I brought it up on our last episode when we talked about Justice League Dark, because I knew this email was coming. And then we had so many emails, we didn't get to it. So I will bring it back up for you again. There you are. Phew. Okay, here we go. Starts with Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox. And you can Google this as well, but why the hell not? We'll talk about it. Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox was technically the first one. Then Justice League War. Then Son of Batman. Then Justice League Throne of Atlantis. Then Batman vs. Robin. Then Batman Bad Blood. Then Justice League vs. Teen Titans. Then Justice League Dark. Then Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. Then Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay. Then The Death of Superman. And then The Reign of Superman. Then Batman Hush. Then Wonder Woman Bloodlines. And then finally Justice League Dark: Apocalypse War.
Huh. There's a couple missing out of there that I would have thought would have been. I would have thought like Red Hood and Crisis on Two Earths would have been part of that too, but I guess not.
Red Hood? No, those were prior.
Were they?
Yeah.
That shows you how messed up my timeline is.
Yeah. So, yep, these are the in-continuity ones. And they started, Flashpoint Paradox in 2013, and then Apocalypse War this year in 2020. But yeah, it's on Wikipedia under DC Animated Movie Universe. Hopefully that helps. And yeah, I still want to watch them all. Maybe I'll get around to it. Maybe not.
Thank God Killing Joke's not in there, because I wouldn't go back to that one.
All right, next one is from Whistle Red. It says, "Greetings, Bat Family. Where and how did they film the ending of Batman Forever, where Batman and Robin were running towards the camera with the bat signal behind them?" Well, Whistle, thank you for the message. And my guess is because this was a last-minute change, because as we had discussed previously, they had shot an ending shot of Batman and Robin on the roof in front of a blue screen, so that way they could put Gotham behind them. They had already shot that, and so I don't know at what point they changed their mind and wanted a new shot, but because it is literally just the bat signal in the dark and the two of them running towards the camera mostly in silhouette, I think they did it in an empty soundstage. They went to an empty soundstage on the WB lot, put the bat signal there, turned it on, and let the two actors run towards the camera. And it might not even be the actors. It might be stand-ins for all I know, because you don't see their faces.
I'd say that's a perfectly logical guess, and I'd go right with it.
All right, thanks.
I agree.
Next message from Weston Craig. It says, "Hey, it's a long one, so I apologize. I know you aren't fans of video games, but for a lot of millennials like me, video games are a big part of how we experience pop culture. If you were to design an ideal Batman video game, who would you choose as the villains? Keep in mind the video game usually needs more villains than a movie, and there also needs to be sufficient minions to fight. Who would you want as the voice actor for Batman? Would you keep Kevin Conroy, or would you switch it up? Do you think the Court of Owls could work in a video game? And do you think we could ever see a game featuring one of the Bat family as the main character instead of Batman? Thanks, your loyal Twitter follower, Weston." Thanks, Weston. First of all, I have to correct you. It's not that I can only speak for myself. It's not that I'm not a fan of video games. I actually quite enjoy video games. It's just over the past 10 years, as my life got busier, that was something that went to the side, and I've just never come back to it, is video games. So it's not that I didn't enjoy them. I do enjoy them, and honestly, Batman video games have been some of my favorite gaming experiences ever. It's just, I just don't have time for them anymore, and I don't make the time for them anymore because they're so involved. So I wish I could, and I wish I did, but that's why. It's not that I don't like them. But it sounds like he kind of wants you to pitch a version of a Batman video game here. Jamie, what do you think?
First of all, I'm going to more or less half co-sign what you said about video games. It's not that I don't care for them. It's because I become obsessed with them.
Mm-hmm.
I will play, if I'm not good at a video game instantly, if it's one that interests me, I will play that son of a gun until I am a master of it. Ask any kid who's wanted to play me in a Madden game in the last 10 years how good I am at video games. Because it'll take me about 10 minutes to get used to it, and the next thing you know, I'm unbeatable. That's not an ego, Pat. That's just how my mind works. I have to be the best at a video game when I play it. Mortal Kombat was the same way, on and on. My problem became I have so many other things to do in my life, being a parent and a husband and a business owner and everything else. I would stay up until 4 a.m. playing video games, and I cannot do that anymore. I simply cannot, so I just had to cut them out.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to, it's because I had to. When I retire 20 years from now, I'll probably buy whatever video game system is cool then and go back and play all these games I wish I would have played, like Arkham Knight and everything else.
Yeah.
But voice actor thing, I mean, if Kevin Conroy's busy, I'd immediately call Diedrich Bader.
Hell yeah.
I love his Batman voice. I absolutely love it. Villains, all of them. I mean, that's the easy answer. I mean, I know it's lazy, but all of them. I mean, you got a video game. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Put all of them in there. From the most obscure to the most famous.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it ends up, you wind up at the final boss of the game, you're fighting a giant Joker who shoots you with lightning bolts. Hell yeah, do it again. Some people caught that reference. Some people did not.
I got it. Ryan, what about you?
I am an avid video game player.
Oh, nice.
And I have played through all of the Arkham games multiple times. I've played through the Telltale Batman games. I enjoy all of them very much. I don't know exactly what I would do new with the franchise in a video game form. Because I feel like the Arkham games were perfect for what they set out to do. I feel like Telltale did a really good job of telling a story with Batman and kind of twisting things to fit a new narrative. I feel like maybe they could go into more of a horror vein with Batman. Where he's more in the shadows and kind of play more on the fear aspect of Batman.
All right.
And as far as voices go, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman, so get him if you can. If you can't, I'm enjoying Diedrich Bader's voice in Harley Quinn. I have enjoyed other voices in the animated movies in the past. I have kind of a soft spot for Jeremy Sisto's take from Justice League New Frontier, and I'd like to see him get another shot at it.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, yeah, like I feel like if I were to make a Batman video game, I would try to make it as all inclusive as possible. I would honestly step back sort of the more realistic look of the Arkham games and go a little more comic booky, a little more colorful. But like Jamie said, I would try to include as many of the Rogues Gallery as possible. You know, I think that you can, you know, they're so much fun and they all have their own minions. You know, you could have a lot of fun with that. So yeah, like, and I think that you should be able to play as the Bat family. You know, like you can play as Batman or Robin or Nightwing or Batgirl or whoever, and play through the game. I think that would be really cool. As for the voice actors, for the voice of Batman, I would choose me. For the voice of Alfred, I would choose Jamie. And for the Joker, I'd choose Brendan. So I think we'd be terrific.
I mean, Brendan almost has a British accent, so you should probably make him Alfred.
No.
My accents are terrible.
No, I want a big teddy bear of a Southern Alfred. It's time to change it up.
Okay.
I also think would be really fun, and I am shocked this hasn't happened, is they should make a Batman 66 game. Like, completely set in the world of Batman 66 with those villains, with that visual approach, the colors and the tilted camera angles. That would be so fun, and you could play as Batman, Robin, or Batgirl.
I mean, assuming they use Julian Chan's character designs and casting choices, I would be all on board for that.
Yeah. All right, next message from Elder Murray. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, do you think Edward Furlong would have been a great Robin in Batman Forever coming off of Terminator 2? He was my choice. Elder, thank you for the message. What do you think, Jamie? Do you think he would have been a good Robin in Batman Forever?
I don't know how to say this and be tactful about it, but hell no.
Okay, Ryan?
I do not care for him as an actor in the least.
I don't see it, especially as Dick Grayson. Maybe if we're talking Jason Todd, I could maybe go with you there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of agree. I found him, he was okay in T2, but I also found him kind of irritating, so I actually would have preferred Chris O'Donnell, so...
I mean, T2's a really good movie and everything, but if I could change one thing about that movie, it would be him.
Yeah. All right, next message is from Brad Dade. It says, hey, greetings. Oh, spoilers for Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Interesting. Well, I'm going to try and step over the spoilers for people who haven't watched it. Wish me luck. It says, I know you'll be reviewing the new Justice League Dark movie, but I thought I'd send you a few thoughts before listening to your episode. Going into it, I only saw the first teaser trailer, and I knew they fight, they also fart a lot. It was an interesting take for the movie, is that instead of fighting, they just fart. But that's because that's what you do when you go out for chili on all your dates.
What a callback.
He says, I know they fight Darkseid, but that's pretty much it, which in hindsight was the best way to go into the movie. It says, early in the film, I got annoyed thinking they were just going to end game the DC animated universe, but as the film continued, I found myself enjoying it more, because going in, I didn't know that this was the final movie of the shared universe. So the excitement of where they were going got the better of me. All the callbacks and cameos from the previous movies were great, and somewhat sad. For example, all right, this is anyway, he calls out a couple cameos that he was excited about. So yeah, he goes into great detail about the movie. For folks listening, listen to our last episode where we review this in earnest, but I'm going to skip over a lot of the spoilery stuff. He did say one thing that kind of bothered me was the swearing, especially the use of the F word. I'm not a prude. I swear more than I should, especially at work, but I don't really think it's needed in my animated superhero movies. Overall, I enjoyed it. Where do you think the DC animated movies go from here? Back to separate movies with no shared universe, more original stories rather than adaptations. I know there's a Superman movie coming out, but I'm not sure if they've announced anything much past that. Sorry for the long email. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, Brad Dade. Brad, thank you so much, and hopefully you enjoyed the last episode where we did review the movie. Okay, questions is, where do you think the DC animated movies go from here, Jamie?
I'd always appreciate having some one-offs in there. I'm good either way, but at this point, I would be surprised if they didn't lean towards something like the Rebirth stories as we've had since 2016 now, that kind of phased out the New 52 and became its own thing. But there have been murmurings that they're getting ready to redo something else, so I just don't know. I really don't. I'm good. Whatever they bring me, as long as it's up to the snuff of quality that most of what they've done is there, I'm good either way.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think?
I hope they move away from the shared universe stuff. I'd like to see them just do one-offs, and I'd really like to see them kind of try their hand at some original stories. Mm-hmm. I've enjoyed some of the adaptations they've done in the past, but the last few have left a few things to be desired in that regard. Like, I know that there's been nothing confirmed, but just some murmurs and rumors that they were of thoughts of doing the Long Halloween. I don't really want to see them do that. It's my favorite Batman story, but I don't think they can pull it off even in a two part time frame. So yeah, I just want to see them try and tell their own stories for a little while and see how that works out.
Cool.
Original stories? Wow, what a concept.
I think no matter what, you are going to get adaptations, no matter what, because they've got a certain amount of marketability because fans know those stories, and so I think you're not gonna, you're not gonna get away from those. But as long as they do those on and off with some more original content, then I'm cool with it. So like the new Superman movie, I've only seen little bits for it, but it looks really cool. It looks very different. It looks like a standalone, and I think it's an original story, and I think that's great. So I'm hoping for more of that, again, in conjunction with some of the adaptations. I'm sure we will get a Long Halloween sooner or later. Like, I'm sure that will happen, and I get it, just from a business perspective, it makes sense to do some of these adaptations, but don't do only that. Next message is from Mary Jo. It says, "Hey, if Superman Lives had come out in 1998, what do you think would the merchandise have been like the merchandising for the Batman movies in the 90s with toys, books, pinball machines, soundtracks, and others?" Thanks, Mary Jo. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Because if you think about that, a year after Batman and Robin and just the onslaught of marketing and merchandise and tie-ins, etc., like, that was the model. So I'm sure if Superman Lives had come out, that you would have gotten the same thing. I think that's pretty safe bet.
Standard fare, especially for that time frame.
Yeah.
And allow me to just go ahead and say in that regard, this will be one of the very rare times I'll say something nice about Batman and Robin. The action figures for that movie were pretty cool. I liked them.
All right, next one is from Tom Fallows. It says, "Hey guys, I hope you're well and making the most out of your isolation. It's been a while since I've written in, so I wanted to ask, what Batman-related activities have you been doing in your lockdown? Movies, video games, TV shows? Also, if we were going for a completely comic-accurate Batman film, what villain would be your choice, bearing in mind you don't have to take realism into account? Thanks, keep podcasting and keep up the ISO challenge. I was a little late, so I'll be a few days off." Tom Fallows. Thanks, Tom. Good questions. So, Jamie, what have you been doing during the pandemic that's Batman-related to pass the time?
First of all, I've gone to work 6 days a week since all this mess started, so I haven't really had the time off that a lot of other people have.
Yeah.
But I still, work in a Batman movie or a comic book or something like that here and there. I'm way behind on my reading, but I've cut my list down, so being behind only means like 6 books right now. So, I mean, nothing much has changed as far as what I'm doing to occupy my free time. Batman is an ever-present thing for me, so I'm still with that.
All right. And then a completely comic-accurate Batman film if you don't have to take realism into account.
So am I picking a villain, or what movie do I want?
Villain.
I'm not sure.
What villain?
Villain. I got to go with Ra's al Ghul, just because he's my boy.
Yeah. Cool. Ryan, so doing anything Batman-related during this pandemic?
Like Jamie, I have been working through this entire thing, so my free time has not changed during this period. But I've still fit a couple of things in there. I watched a movie or two. I've been keeping up with the Harley Quinn cartoon on DC Universe. Mm-hmm. I've been listening to Holy BatCast. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh my God, that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
Such a good use of your time.
But that's about it. As far as villains for a movie where realism isn't in the cards, I don't know. I feel like, and I think one of my coworkers would be remiss if I didn't throw this out there. Is I think that Clayface would be really interesting for a movie. It's something we haven't seen done before. Mm-hmm. And I think they could really do some interesting things with that character.
All right. So yeah, Batman-related activities. I've been podcasting. That counts, right? As you said, Ryan, I watch Harley Quinn every week. I have been doing a lot more reading of comics during lockdown. But like you guys, I've also been working full time, so it's not like I'm just sitting around all day every day. I'm working. I also, one thing I have been doing is jigsaw puzzles, which is so nerdy, I know, but there's something therapeutic about it. And so I just bought the coolest DC jigsaw puzzle, and I'm just starting it, and it's like, it's in like the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. It's his style, but it's like 100 different DC characters all in that style, sort of like in a collage.
Oh, cool.
And so I just started that. So yes, I will definitely post photos of that as I make some progress. But the biggest thing Batman related I've been doing during quarantine is Batman related porn. Lots of Batman porn. So I'd recommend.
Okay.
I'd recommend.
Okay.
Yeah. As for a Batman film where you don't have to worry about realism, I'd say Mr. Freeze. Y'all know how much I love Mr. Freeze, and he is one of the more fantastical villains, and so that's who I'd go with.
And he's due.
He is so
He
due.
really is.
All right, next message.
He's never been in a live-action movie before.
Right. All right, next message is from Dylan. It says, "Hey, BatCast, I've been a listener for a while, but I've never written in. I'm a huge Nightwing fan, and he's been my favorite for years. A couple years ago, I was excited when they announced Nightwing, The New Order, and I've loved the book ever since. I didn't think I'd hear it mentioned on the show, but now I've heard listeners mention it, and I'm with them. I'd like to hear you cover it. I love the different take they had on the character. Keep up the good work. Thank you for your time." Dylan, thank you for the email. I always love when we get long-time listener, first-time caller. It's always nice to meet new people. And another vote for Nightwing: The New Order.
It sounds like they're stacking up there.
Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, next message is from Marshall. It says, "Hey, Andy, cuddly koala who likes Batman Forever and slightly less cuddly koala." So that's you, Jamie. You're the koala that's got claws.
I'm social distancing, so you couldn't cuddle me if you had to.
He says, "I was writing in to ask about your opinion on The Dark Knight Rises. See, no Spider-Man questions. I know you guys did an episode long ago, but that was 6 years ago, and neither Jamie or Brendan were on it. When it first started, I heard Bane's voice once, and I thought, oh great, not only do I have to watch a movie with a guy with throat cancer, he's fighting a guy who sounds like he's got a mic in his mouth. On a more serious note, I constantly question the fact that the other prisoners just lied to Bruce about Bane being Raz's son. They knew who Talia was, right? The Robin thing was something I like to call Nolan and shit, I guess. Lastly, I know I might be alone, but I love the ending. The idea was amazing, and the execution was almost as good. Seeing Bale next to Selena made me forgive him for the Terminator movie, mostly. Thank you, Marshall." All right, Marshall, thank you. All right, real quick thoughts about The Dark Knight Rises. I think we'll be due for a revisit with you guys because the first one, it wasn't really an overall look at the movie. It was more of like the movie had already been somewhat controversial, so I got someone on either side of the argument to try and hash it out. So I'd like to revisit it with Jamie and Brendan anyway. But Jamie, real quick, overall thoughts on Dark Knight Rises.
I think it's a very flawed movie. I think it's a very ambitious movie, but I love it. I think the cast is spectacular in the film. I really liked everybody in it. I think there were some choices made with a few characters, most notably probably the John Blake /Robin John Blake / whatever the hell he's supposed to be was probably the least well thought out of the bunch. I loved the translation of Bane. I thought Anne Hathaway's Catwoman was legendary. I think it's a great movie. I think it probably overreached a little bit, would be the way I'd put it.
All right. Cool. Ryan, what do you think?
I love The Dark Knight Rises. I recognize that it has some problems, but I have never found it hard to just overlook them. I just like the movie so much that nothing that it does wrong really bothers me a whole lot. And as far as things that I do see problems with, I agree that the John Blake character could have had a little better of a fleshing out. I feel like Talia gets a little bit of a short shrift in the whole thing. But overall, I really like that movie a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've shared my thoughts before. Overall, I do like it as well. I think it is a very good movie, but yes, there are a lot of things about it that bug me, and I just wish Nolan had been able to stick the landing the way he did with the first two films. And that's just always going to be a bit of a bummer, is that I think that the wrap up of the trilogy is good, but is for me the least of the three. And yeah, there are just certain things that I don't think are executed well. I think, Jamie, maybe you're onto something where it was a little too ambitious and trying to do too many things, so some of those moving pieces were just a little clumsily handled. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think the John Blake stuff for me doesn't really work, but I think that Bane and Catwoman in that movie are so good that it's a totally watchable and really entertaining movie, especially because of the two of them. I think they're both amazing. So
I personally think it has the best score of the three.
I mean,
they're all great. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I like that one the best.
yeah. So there's a lot to love about it. I just wish there were, I just wish that it had been the home run that, for me, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were. But instead, it wasn't quite, and that's too bad. All right, next message here is from CJ Higgins. It says, hey, after watching Justice League Dark Apocalypse War and I listened to your review, I was wondering if you noticed or liked Damian's new suit after the time jump. To me, it looks like a hybrid of his suit with the cape and hood, the black and red like Tim, and the classic R like Dick. He did have the hip waist guards on his side since he was the leader of the League of Assassins. What did you think? And did you even notice? I sure did. The next thing is spoilery, so I'll just jump over that. He says, thanks for taking the time. I love hearing the Holy BatCast Trinity, your bat friend, CJ Higgins. Thanks, CJ. So what do you think? Damian's new suit, Jamie?
I honestly wasn't paying very close attention to it, so I can't really comment.
All right. Ryan, did you notice?
I have not seen it. So I can't comment on it.
Okay. I noticed and I dug it. I thought it was actually a really cool look for him. So I'm with you. I liked it. All right, we're going to do one more email, then we're going to wrap it up. We haven't done them all, but this one's going to have to do. I think we're coming to the point where we have to do a mailbox only episode just to catch up. This one is from Michael Murphy. It says, hey guys, do you think Matt Reeves will venture into the fantastical side of Batman, or is he mostly going to keep it real world? I hope he ventures into the fantastical side, because I would like to see new takes on Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. What are your thoughts? Thanks, Michael. I mean, this sort of goes hand in hand with what we were just discussing. So what do you think, Jamie? Do you think we're going to get something more fantastical?
I don't know. I certainly want it to be that way, but from what I've seen so far, it kind of leans toward not. But then again, we are talking about a guy who made 2 movies about walking, talking, gun-toting, horse-riding apes that have basically taken over the planet. So I think the potential is there. I think even if he gets into the fantastical, he's going to take it very seriously. I don't think there's going to be any hamminess to it per se, but yeah, I'd love to see a Poison Ivy on screen, or Mr. Freeze, or a Clayface, or any of those that delve into that more comic booky style.
All right, Ryan, what do you think?
I don't think we're going to see very much in the way of fantastical characters with Matt Reeves' Batman. From everything I've seen and read, it just sounds like we're going to get a very grounded, realistic, gritty noir tale. And I just don't see that aspect of the Batman world coming into the stories that he's telling. I would like to see it. I just don't know if we're going to.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, before we started seeing stuff, I really hoped and thought that might be where we were going, to Jamie's point, because of the Apes films. But based on what we have seen so far, it really does seem that he wants to keep it grounded and real world. And so that's what I'm expecting now. Like, I don't want to get my hopes up that it's going to transition into something more fantastical. I'm kind of just expecting it to be what we've seen so far, which is just a much more grounded take on the character. So I'm not holding my breath for Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy. I'm happy to be surprised later if he does go down that road, but right now I'm not expecting it. I hope I'm wrong. But that is where we'll go close the Wayne Manor mailbox for now. There are plenty more, but we will get to them next time. But we're at time. It's time to wrap things up so people can get on with their day. So thank you guys to everybody who has written in. We do appreciate it. If you've got questions for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that will do it for this episode of the show. Ryan, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun. I've enjoyed this a lot.
Oh, good. Well, it has been great to have you. You can tell folks where they can find you online?
Yeah, sure. My Twitter handle is at Terrafor. That's TARIPHOR. I don't post there often, but you're welcome to say hi if you'd like, I guess.
There you go. I mean, it's a low maintenance follow because you're not going to fill up anyone's feed.
That's right.
So why not? Go give Terrafor a follow. So, no, Ryan, truly, thank you for joining us. Thanks for making the time. It's another long one. We even had some technical difficulties, and so thanks for being a champ. And, yeah, we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Jamie, thank you as always. And more importantly, thank your wife for letting us borrow you while we do this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she was happy to be rid of me. So, yeah, it works out nicely for everyone.
As always, tell anyone where they can find you.
Twitter, BatRaider3960.
There you go. Perfect. I already told you guys where to follow me, but that will do it for this episode. More importantly, just follow the show. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and follow the show on all the different platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Holy BatCast, and then you can always go to holybatcast.com. Check out all the shows that are part of the Real Fans Network. Again, rf4rm.com. We just released a new Real Fans for Real Movies where me and Jamie and Brendan, plus Hunter, plus Guy Milks, we counted down 5 perfect movies, and that was actually a lot of fun. So if you guys want to check out that, you can do that again, rf4rm.com. Again, the email address for the Wayne Manor mailbox is holybatcast at rf4rm.com, and we still have our voicemail line at 323-366-9246. But there you have it. On behalf of Ryan and Jamie, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Trouble in Gotham City. Gotham City? Come on, Robin, to the Batmobile.
Wait! Rotten timing.
Come on, Robin, let's go.
Gee, Batman, we don't want to leave now. We're having such a good time.
A duty calls, Robin. Someone's in trouble in Gotham City.
That's not the only place someone's in trouble.
Don't argue, Robin. To the Batmobile.
Say, Batman, it's such a nice night. Why don't we walk?
The Batmobile is total. Yours, total?
I'm sorry, Batman.
Well, you did the manly thing, Robin. You told the truth. I want to shake your hand for that.
Thank you, Batman.
Wait till you see what I'm going to do to you when I get you back to the Batcave.